AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everybody. I am Roger B. You're listening to Locked and Loaded, and you're listening to America's Web Radio. Here we are. We're going to talk about guns. We're going to talk about weapons. Now, before anybody calls me out on the weapon thing, we're going to extend the weapons to a little further reach today than we normally do. And before everyone goes, oh, no, weapons, guns. Well, this is, most of the time it's guns or knives that are considered weapons, sometimes clubs. What if we extended that out a little bit? Say you see people in areas using chemical weapons. You've seen those used before. What about biological weapons? Now, this may be a bit of a stretch. This may be leaning toward the conspiracy side of things, but I'm just going to throw these stories out there because I saw them and was able to corroborate them on more than one source. And the fact that this is not going viral on a big level is just shocking to me. But apparently, there's a U.S. Harvard scientist who is being arrested for collaborating with a Chinese company. And one of his interns, one of the guys who works for him, is actually a lieutenant in the Chinese army.
What?
Now, wait, it gets better. Okay. And apparently,
there's more.
but there's more. Yes,
wait,
there's more. There's more. Yes. So let me explain. Let me explain. So
Please explain it to us.
Charles Lieber, the chair of Harvard's chemistry department, lied about contacts when a Chinese state-run initiative that seeks to draw foreign educated talent. Okay, this is in Boston. They arrived at the two most protected corners of Harvard's academic cloister, and they had this guy in handcuffs. Now, you may wonder, what would cause a scientist to be arrested? Well, the fact that one of his interns was a lieutenant in the Chinese military.
Being a scientist in a communist country?
Well, now, wait a minute. No, he was in the United States.
Being a scientist in a socialist United States?
But now, one of his interns was a lieutenant in the Chinese military.
Whew.
So how he got that position, who let him in, I don't know. That shows a failing on several parts. But he was also instrumental in setting up a research laboratory in China. Now, you may wonder, where on earth in China would they do something like this? Apparently, this lab that he helped set up was in Wuhan, China. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's where the coronavirus apparently has originated. So you're kind of wondering, he was apparently sharing secrets or sharing information with these Chinese interns who were then in turn probably bringing it back to China. Now, he was also instrumental in setting up the lab in China at the same time. Now, granted, this is not a gun. This is not a knife or a club. It's not even a chemical weapon. This is potentially a biological weapon. Now, I don't know if it was designed to be a weapon per se. That's not something I can say right now. But just the fact that this guy got arrested and has ties to Wuhan's laboratory where they claim the coronavirus has originated from, it really makes you think what's going on there. I don't know. And the fact that this story was not all over the lamestream media is just shocking to me. Especially with all the exposure, pun intended, on the coronavirus lately. You'd think this story would be in the forefront of this. But apparently we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, because this guy, just like I say, we don't know how involved he is yet, but apparently there seems to be a connection between him, labs in Wuhan, China, and the Chinese military. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. You can make your own judgments from there.
You mean make an educated, common sense, and logical judgment?
That would be the preferred way to do it.
Tell you what, I'm going to bring up some news that neither one of you all know about, and that is that we have another new show starting called Agent in Charge.
Cool.
This is a friend of mine. His name is Sandy Bostick, and he was the last agent in charge before he retired. His last assignment was he was agent in charge of the El Paso human last agent in charge of human. What am I trying to say? The Department
Human
of
resources. Human resources.
Yeah, and
yes. HR.
HR. Well, it wasn't HR. It's what's the other one? Department that handles all Home Security. Homeland Security. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was totally off
sorry.
base.
But
Homeland Security.
That
right.
was his last assignment. He was the agent in charge, and he's going to be doing a show here called Agent in Charge. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I don't want to get Sandy in any kind of trouble. But one of his assignments was Moscow. And he's going to shed some light on some things that we've all heard about coming from Moscow. And he was there for the Trump beauty pageant. He was there for the bombing in Boston. And the connection of Moscow, like I've said and like I brought up to you many times, Victor, don't ever kid yourself, folks. We're in the middle of a Cold War as deep as we can get.
I think it's heating up, though.
And it's being led by Socialist Sanders and the Democrat Party.
It's we are in the 21st century Cold War. And Russia is just as strong. The communists, as I mentioned the other day, I was taught socialism is the first step towards communism, and it is. It's socialism is taking your rights away from you without weapons, and communism is keeping you in line with weapons, and that's the difference between the two.
You must have a crystal ball, David, because, and you can look this up out there, you guys, listeners who doubt us, Radio Moscow. And they changed their name, and I don't remember the name of it. They are buying up radio time in the United States for Russia propaganda. And this is just, this is happening. And
what candidate are they supporting?
Yeah, do you have to guess? Well, let's see. They supported Hillary in 2016. You know darn well who they're supporting for 2020.
Well, and
it ain't Donald Trump.
1955, 54, 55, when Khrushchev was banging his shoe on the UN table and telling us, we will take you without firing a shot. We will take you from within. And they've done it. I got a email from a professor the other day that said, that what I'd said was dead on, is that he's seen it, and we saw it in my school, Texas Tech, where they infiltrated the school with professors. And what does that mean? That means that those professors teach other people to be teachers, professors, whatever, and to support and teach socialism. Folks, we are there. Then the next step is high school. Then the next step is elementary school. And then what they've done as well is, quote, unquote, rewriting history, which I hate that term, but they have taken over our books. And this is what our kids are being taught in public schools.
Nothing's changed, though. That's always the way they re-educate people, is to change history.
Think about it, and not to make Locked and Loaded too political, like On Point with Victor, but think about it, David. You're right on, and Roger, you just said it. What's the one country that to this day has re-education camps? China. The communist government of China, and they're not the only ones, but that's the one that's huge. The
biggest one, probably.
Right, and but you look at what Russia's doing and what China's trying to do, and folks, what David's saying is not hyperbole, and it's not
out of the realm of realistic expectations.
Exactly. So, all right, Roger, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, real quick, we're going to jump back to the professor in Harvard, because we'll get back to that. Now,
except for that, no, I'm kidding.
Yes. But the Wuhan University of Technology, WUT, W-U-T, in China, celebrate the founding of a laboratory that was credited to Charles Lieber. Okay, no big deal. We have exchanges of information in science all the time. However,
that's what we'll call it.
He was also being paid up to $50,000 a month by the Wuhan University of Technology.
Was his name Hunter Biden?
No.
Are you sure?
This is a Harvard professor.
Oh, not Hunter Biden.
And then also with the $50,000 a month he was being paid was also another $150,000 in quote-unquote living expenses as a prized recruit in China's program to recruit talent. Now, I'm not saying there's anything funny going on here, but boy, oh boy, I'd love to find a laboratory in China that would pay me $50,000 a month.
Hey, Roger, you want sequenced DNA.
That's
Why don't
right.
we start petitioning some of these laboratories in China and see if we can get paid $50,000 a month?
Like I say, it's not a gun, it's not a knife, but this may be the next step in weaponry.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that
Now,
they developed that virus.
You got to realize, though, that, there are other people here in the U.S. who talk about, using weapons they probably shouldn't against U.S. citizens.
Oh.
Like Joe Biden, for instance. Now, granted,
Joe Biden.
he tanked in Iowa. His approval numbers are falling in New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, he's done.
He's grabbing at straws. He's trying to stay afloat.
Folks, Roger, I think he's about to come in 5th place in Nevada.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. Uncle Joe is falling that far down?
Uncle
Oh, my
Joe.
goodness.
Yep. But go ahead.
Was it they asked him about if he would like something in a nice 12-year-old? And he said, boy or girl? And then the guy goes, no, scotch.
They said, no, scotch.
So apparently, now, that is unsubstantiated and unproven, but it's just hearsay.
Just hearsay, folks. Just hearsay.
But he has said, now this is a quote, those who say the tree of liberty is watered by the blood of patriots, a great line, I guess. The fact is, if you're going to take on the government, you need an F-15 with Hellfire missiles. There's no way an AK-47 is going to take care of you.
Yeah.
So now that sounds like I don't know, that sounds like a threat to me.
Hey, Biden's not the only Democrat to threaten the American people. You remember that
Swalwell, Bob
little douchebag.
Swalwell was going to use the military against
Not just the military, a
a
nuke.
nuclear weapon
A nuke.
against U.S. gun owners if they didn't hand in their weapons.
Your friendly neighborhood Democrat Swalwell, so-called Democrat anti-war party, right, wanted to, or at least talked about the possibility of using nukes against the American people.
Yeah, and and they're talking about, and it's funny when they talk about these weapons, these so-called quote unquote assault rifles, which are military-styled weapons with 30, 40, 50 clip magazines. It's like, what on earth is that? A clip magazine?
I like it when they use the words together. Clip magazine.
Clip magazine firing 30 rounds in half a second.
They have no idea what they're talking about. None.
These people are so uneducated, it's comical to hear them talk, but yet other people who are uneducated, constituents, will hear this and be scared out of their mind because they think there's some sort of Hellfire missile attached to an AR-15.
An AR-15. They're called the dumb masses.
Yes.
With an M.
And sometimes we have to drop the B.
Yeah, sometimes.
But yeah, so Biden's going to use Hellfire missiles against U.S. citizens who don't want to give up their AK-47s or AR-15s. So apparently, now he doesn't realize, I guess, now the numbers they have, these are probably a slight bit on the conservative side, but there's 100 million American gun owners in the United States with approximately 400 million guns in hand.
I'm sure that number's a little on the low side, but
and billions of rounds of ammunition.
ammunition.
So if we were the problem, I think you'd know it by now.
You would definitely know it by now.
But the fact that no NRA member has ever been, instigator in a mass shooting or anything
Think
like
about
that.
it. No NRA member and no card-carrying permit holder has committed
A mass shooting or
a
anything.
crime, let alone
Yes.
a mass
Very
shooting.
few, yes. I mean, you may get a traffic ticket. It's happened to me. I'll admit it.
maybe,
I'm a concealed carry holder, and I've gotten a traffic
But you
ticket
haven't-
before.
What I mean is gun crimes.
Oh, right. In fact, it's funny because they were talking about taking suppressors off the 1934 Gun Control Act list. And if you look at history, from 1934 to 2017, I believe, now things that are on the 1934 list are fully automatic machine guns, suppressors or silencers, short-barreled rifles, things like that. And from 1934 to 2017, guess how many cases of a crime committed with any of these weapons has ever been reported?
I'm going to go with 0.
3.
Wow.
3.
So statistically, 0.
Yes, statistically 0 in 80 years, or 75, 80 years. There's been 3 crimes. I mean, that's just, and one of those crimes was committed by a police officer
So let's ban them.
in good standing.
In good standing. Wow.
Well, he wasn't after that,
After
but
that.
and the last one took place just a couple years ago, and guy was using a suppressor on a handgun to commit a mass killing. But it's like it didn't really change anything because people saw him coming. He was waving the gun around.
Yep.
He was being considerate of people's possible hearing loss.
Let's face it, he wanted to protect his ears in case he made it out alive.
Exactly. But it's a crazy how much emphasis they put on controlling crime by taking guns away.
Well, you said it there, Roger. They want to pretend to control crime by disarming law-abiding citizens. Show me, Roger, anywhere where you're going to stop a crime by arresting a law-abiding citizen.
Oh, right. Well, the thing is,
basically what
imagine if they applied that to anything else. Imagine if they made alcohol illegal because somebody abused it.
Imagine if we made Congress lying to the people a crime.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, that reminds me of what's her name, Occasional Cortex. She's quoted something. Now, this is not exact quote because I don't have it in front of me, but she basically said the only reason Donald Trump is keeping his campaign promises is to influence the 2020 elections.
Brilliant. That might be the smartest thing she's ever said.
She's entirely accurate, though. Yes. Imagine if politicians actually respected the fact that they should keep campaign promises.
Holy cow, I think that might be the first thing she said that was coherent and truth.
And made sense, yes.
And made sense. Yeah,
and yes, I would think he was guilty of keeping campaign
Absolutely.
promises
And I wanted
to influence the next election.
I want him to continue to be guilty of that.
That's right, absolutely. Imagine if all politicians fought as hard as he did to keep campaign promise. And so far, he's been good. He has not pushed any new gun laws through, with the exception of the bump stock ban.
The bump stock, yeah.
Which some people are still complaining about that, and I understand.
I understand that too. You know, I'll cut the guy a little slack on that. I disagree with it, but
he probably had bad information. Maybe he had some.
But he's also, you got to understand who Trump is. He understands the art of giving little to get a lot.
Yeah, but so far we got nothing from that.
Well, we don't have any more
yet.
ridiculous gun laws, which he's not going to sign. I would think. At least right now, he's demonstrated.
Keep in mind, however, the bump stocks were made legal under Obama's watch. Under his, BATF.
Now that is just information they don't want you to tell.
No, I find that, I'm willing to give Obama credit where credit is due.
I would too, but the media does not want that.
They don't want that. He doesn't want that kind of credit, but I'm willing to give it to him. He was the one who allowed his BATF department allowed bump stocks to become an accessory legal in U.S. hands. And granted,
he wanted his buddies to have them.
During 10 years of having bump stocks, or even people, you can bump stock with a rubber band and a pencil eraser too.
Exactly.
You don't have to have $100 stock.
Exactly.
But there's been one shooting where the bump stock was used.
Yep.
And to be honest, I would think it would make people less effective.
Think about that shooting. We haven't even gotten down to the real bottom of what was behind that shooting.
Yeah, no motive, no nothing.
No, we haven't gotten to the bottom of that. But yet they banned bump stocks. What was the problem there? Bump stocks or the guy who committed the crime?
Exactly. Well, if they applied that to anything else, can you imagine? Yeah. Imagine Home Depot. You'd have to register your hammers and axes as you bought them.
And your knives.
Oh, wait. Oh, how old are you? Do you have a permit to carry this axe?
Your cooking knives. You've got to register your bat if you want to play baseball. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
what they...
And the best one I can think of is alcohol, because I know alcohol, what purpose does it serve other than to dull your senses, lower your sense of judgment,
lower your inhibitions,
help college students get laid? I mean, it has very little positive influence on society at all. However, millions of people every day enjoy it without committing any crimes. Mm-hmm. Same with firearms. Millions of people enjoy them every day without committing any crimes. But let's take the worst of the worst and apply it across the board to everybody who's not guilty of anything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a completely irrational argument.
Right.
But that's what it takes sometimes.
Hey, come on. You got Bloomberg running around there that wants to ban the fork because the fork is making you fat.
That's right. Oh, yeah, and you can't have a drink that's too big because you'll drink too much soda.
Because
oh, my gosh, yeah. Well, I saw... Now, is there any truth to this, talking about weapons, is there any truth to him pulling in Hillary as a VP candidate?
So... what that is called is a little tester. He's floating that idea out there. He wants people to leak it.
Tester. You know what he's going to do? He's going to need a food tester.
Yes, he will need a food. What he needs to understand, Roger, and you're absolutely right. If Bloomberg were to win and Hillary was his VP, Bloomberg damn well better get a food tester.
I mean, you know, you don't blame the cobra for biting you when you play with it.
Exactly.
It's still a cobra.
And, yeah. So, but no, there
Not
is.
that I'm calling Hillary a snake, but you know.
But hey, if the name fit, I mean, no, he is putting that out there to leak out to see what kind of response he would get if he were to say, I'm going to put Hillary on as VP.
I mean, I would hate to see the memes coming out. Bloomberg did not kill himself.
Yeah, Bloomberg didn't hang. Yeah,
Did not hang himself.
He didn't die of rat poisoning. Look, I tell you, there is no way on God's green earth that Hillary is going to play second fiddle to anyone. She did that as first lady. She ain't going to do it again.
Yeah, some claim she wasn't that much of a second fiddle when it came to Bill either.
That's true.
He was busy in the Oval Office
But
smoking cigars while she was running the country.
Bloomberg is smoking crack if he thinks that Hillary's going to stand by and be happy with VP.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. I guess
Man.
she'll trot him out on a little leash and let him talk when she wants him to.
Until he dies.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe she'll be like London.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Let's say there's a thing called Arkancides.
Arkansas.
That's the Arkansas word for
people.
suicide.
That's the list of people that have crossed the Clintons at
That's
one
a
time or another.
sudden Clinton death syndrome.
Committed suicide in Arkansas?
So
Bloomberg
Hillary might, she might take second fiddle to get first chair.
To get first chair. Oof,
in 6 months.
It gets her only one heartbeat away.
It gives new meaning to only one heartbeat away or one bag of rat poisoning away from the presidency.
Now, I think Bloomberg needs to go to the doctor immediately and get a health checkup. Make sure there's no secrets hiding anywhere. Make sure his heart's strong, his cholesterol's good. Because, we want to have no question what kills him.
Right. We oh, my goodness. He does not want to
Hillary's
cross.
still in her closet crying.
She
Yeah,
is.
Drinking her wine.
I'm still predicting she's going to come out for Super Tuesday.
And getting off Air Force One, I think I'd let Hillary walk in front of me.
Exactly.
Let me ask, is it really true that Hillary drinks Trader Joe wine, the $3 holler?
I doubt it.
$2 Chuck.
There's no way. That
Oh,
woman
she
is-
probably does in front of people who she thinks it will
if
influence.
she's in front of what she thinks might be a voter, but that woman is an elitist of the elite.
She makes Bloomberg look like a regular millionaire
Exactly.
instead of the billionaire that he is.
Billionaire that he is. Man.
But okay, let's go to Virginia real quick. Everyone was so excited about Virginia falling down. There was gonna be boogaloo all over the place. Well, apparently, Virginia Democrats in the House and Senate decided that the bill they were trying to pass was a little too involved, too strict. It punished gun owners too much, and the weapons ban failed in Virginia.
Woohoo!
Now, you might think, oh, my God, they're going to push something else through, but they're going to table it till next year.
It's because the Democrats didn't want to get their butts kicked in 2020, and the Virginians better not forget.
To vote.
You got to vote these
By the
votes.
way, the two of you are very learned individuals. And
Say that lightly.
I'm just curious how you all feel about a candidate that would say that Guam is listing and going to sink.
Going to sink? I ran against that bozo in 2016.
He didn't say it was going to sink. He said it would
Said it
capsize.
would capsize. But
He thought it was a giant iceberg or something. It would just roll around or something in the sea. I don't
And that's
understand.
because we put more military
Too many
folks
military
on
men.
it, and
He
will
thought it would
capsize.
tip
tip over. And what do you think of a candidate that would
over.
say
Another
something like
Democrat elected official.
Yeah,
that?
but
It's
you
been
know
there
what?
Too damn long.
And it's been in there too long. A second after he said that was being in there too long. He should have been thrown out. that
But yet
year.
people in his district keep putting him
They
back in,
keep
so how
putting him
smart can
back.
they be?
Well, we won't go there.
Yeah,
I think we should. We need to start shaming these people who
No, I
put these
agree.
idiots in Congress.
You know what? We should.
Say, oh, that idiot represents you because you voted for
'Cause
him.
you voted for him.
So step up and take some blame.
You have a.
And don't go to Guam.
Yeah,
No,
don't go to
'cause it'll
Guam.
capsize.
You never know when it might capsize.
I know.
You
So
And
Virginia.
that's Hank Johnson, and there are people running against the idiot Hank Johnson.
Yes, there is.
And we support her. We have endorsed her as well as we've endorsed President Trump.
Yep.
And a few others.
Choice candidates.
Absolutely.
Well, anybody who is pro-gun gets my endorsement.
Damn
And so far, I don't know
straight.
who the Democrat candidate is
For
They don't either.
oh,
for president. Nobody knows yet.
yeah, they don't either.
Iowa apparently fell apart, and they had no idea for like 48 hours what happened.
They still don't know. And
I think
now-
the Russians had meddled in that.
Yeah.
It's a shame. What was it in Illinois? They couldn't count the votes because
They
they ran out of toes and fingers.
and now Nevada, the Democrat Party in Nevada is already putting out that they're going to have problems and not be able to give the results. So, folks, the full on steal this from Bernie Sanders is in effect.
They just need more toes and fingers.
I think they just
They
don't
need-
want the people to actually
think
have any
they're
influence
getting-
on what
They
they
don't.
decide.
I think they're getting the fingers, but I'm not sure about the toes.
Who's the guy on Sesame Street? Maybe he needs to be in Nevada.
Count Dracula.
Yes, this guy.
The Count.
Maybe he needs to visit Nevada on Saturday.
One vote
One
for
vote
Bernie
for
Sanders.
2 votes for Bernie Sanders.
6 votes for Hillary. I didn't even know she was running.
And now that would be a caucus I could watch. 2 votes for Mayor Pete.
Hi, guys.
Buttigieg, yes.
Boy, we're just begging to get the phone calls and the emails now.
Well, if you want to keep your rights, vote for someone who's willing to defend them.
In the words of Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with that.
What, voting for someone who's going to take your rights and push socialism? There is something wrong with that.
No, there's something wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the thing I said before that. And if people didn't catch it, I won't repeat it.
That's right. And I said, I haven't...
Yeah, with that being said, I think we probably missed a few.
Oh, we missed a break.
Well,
It happens.
Yeah, it does.
Get carried away. Oh, when we come back,
there-
are we going to take a break soon here? Because
Nah, we'll wait.
okay, we're going to
We're
wait.
going to go straight on through, Roger.
Because we're going to
Hit
do
it.
2 more, and then we're going to come to an article that I'm going to say for after the break. It's going to be about motorcycles and shooting. But first, okay, Virginia, the weapon ban fails because Democrats jump in on the Republican side, support them, and squash the gun ban.
Because they were in fear of the voter.
Of course,
The only thing a politician fears.
because the voters showed up after the fact to try and protest. It would have saved them so much time and effort had they showed up to actually vote instead.
Yeah. That's why I said they've got to come out in 2020 and send these Democrats packing.
But remember the numbers. Less than 20% of registered voters showed up in Virginia to vote.
Unbelievable.
That
I'll
is
bet you
ridiculous.
they show up in 2020.
They better. Better see more than
Bet they
50% of the voters show up in 2020.
I bet you every gun owner in Virginia votes in November.
They better. If you don't,
And-
I'm gonna slap
yeah.
you over the head with the back of my back of your head with my barrel.
Exactly. And you got to start with Trump and go down ticket. And look, doesn't mean you have to vote for all the R's, but you can vote for Libertarian or whatever. But
Yeah, I'm gonna wait and see who
gotta
the Democrat
vote for the gun
candidate
owners.
is. I could be wrong. They could come up with some. The Democrats could come up with some. Some candidate who's pro-gun. I don't know who it could be, but I'm guessing it could
That's
happen.
what I heard today. They're sad that they can't bring Obama back.
I think he would lose too.
I think so.
I think Biden could have won if he ran in 2016 on the
Maybe in
tails of Obama.
Maybe.
But how did he not end up running then and Hillary got that shot? I don't understand that.
Because Obama didn't like him and Hillary threatened him.
Oh, well, you don't want to be
Biden
threatened by
said,
Hillary.
Where am I?
And Biden said, what?
Run for
Okay,
what?
We'll be back after this.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
This is Ron Camacho, host of the Business Hour, on Fridays from 10 to 11 a.m. Join me as I talk with passionate professionals on a program that profiles the best businesses, business professionals, business practices, and fascinating individuals to get an insider view of how America works. 10 to 11 a.m. on America's Web Radio.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm Ellen Deal, and if you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act, you can email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com to see if we can help. Small business owners, individuals, families, and baby boomers, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com for 3 easy questions to determine if you can get away from Obamacare. I'm a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry and here to help you for all your insurance needs.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back. And we're going to...
Roger, I have a question.
Yes.
This is a very, very, very important question. The debates are coming up in Nevada, I think tomorrow or Thursday. If Bernie Sanders walks behind Buttigieg and enters the stage, will Buttigieg feel the burn, or will Bernie feel the burn?
I don't know. The butt burn. That's it. Bernie and Buttigieg. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to mix together.
Yes, like I said, we're just begging for the emails today.
But let's cover something fun and more gun-related. I don't know how many of you have heard of this, but there's something called Moto Shoots,
Moto Shoots,
which is a German word, which apparently means something to do with motors and shooting
guns.
So, and as this turns out, it's going to be motorcycles and guns. Now, who doesn't like that combination? Oh my God!
If you don't, you're just not American.
That's right, America. Ugh. But yeah,
V8.
Apparently somebody had done some impromptu research and found out there's an 80% crossover between gearheads and firearms enthusiasts. Those who like cars, motorcycles,
usually
trucks,
like
guns also. Wow, imagine that. So now someone has combined the two together with Moto Shoots, which is apparently riding motorcycles. They're usually trail bikes or dual-purpose bikes.
And shooting at the same time?
No.
Damn.
But you do stop and shoot and then get back on the bike and ride some more and then ride to the next stop and make some shooting.
Excellent.
So it's a... Now, the only problem is the official Moto Shoots the original one is limited to industry insiders. If you work for a promotional company who does marketing for gun companies, or you work for a gun company, or you work in the news part of the gun industry, then you may be invited to come to Moto Shoots.
Moto Shoots. I just like saying it.
Moto Shoots. Well, it's one of those German words that just makes you go, oh, Moto Shoots.
Back in old Japan, the samurai would ride horseback and fire arrows. So there's no reason we can't ride ironback and shoot guns.
Yeah, I think the lawyers would have... Well, lawyers would have a field day if anything happened with that.
Yeah, true.
But this is something, if you look up Moto Shoots, you can go to their website and you can see they are looking, if you want to sponsor an event or host one of these things, I guess you need some land with some trails on it and some regular roads and different stages of shooting set up.
Yeah,
you could do this. And this to me sounds like a most amazing thing to do. Ride motorcycles and shoot guns, two of my all-time favorite things to do.
All-time favorite things to do.
Can they use progressive for targets?
I don't know. Progressive targets? I don't know how those... I don't know about progressive targets.
We can use any kind of target as long as they're not real.
That's right. Yeah. You can use paper targets, steel targets. We can get progressive and use falling steel targets. That would be cool. But this is just neat because, they have... imagine you're the head of a company who does PR for gun companies, and all of a sudden you get invited to go ride motorcycles and shoot guns. Woohoo!
Sounds like fun to me.
But if anybody wants to sponsor one of these or help put on one of these, by all means contact me. I would certainly be willing to sign up as a competitor and try this.
Absolutely. I can ride and I can shoot. Can I do both at the same time, or at least on the same day?
On the same day? Absolutely. And the one that this rep went to one in Wyoming, and apparently it's not readily available out there because it has been such an industry insider thing. However, on their website, it says if you would like to host or sponsor an event, you can contact them and they will give you some information about this. So
this sounds like a new Olympic sport to me.
Well, they have the skiing and shooting. Why not motorcycle riding and shooting?
I agree.
We can have a whole big trail. We can do it at Durhamtown.
Yeah. Of course, the Olympics, I think, are somewhere else this year than the United States.
Well, true.
I don't know where they are exactly. I have to Google that. I have to GTS
Tokyo.
that. Tokyo. Oh, yeah. Oh, they have very strict gun control in Tokyo.
Screw them. So the next time we have it in the U.S.
That's right. Moto Shoots and may become the
Moto
next
Shoots.
Olympic event. Like I say, but it's got to start somewhere and it's going to take off, and I think it'll be great. Because who doesn't like motorcycles and guns? I just can't get over how excited I am about
The
this.
only thing you need to throw in there to make it a little bit better would be a muscle car.
Muscle car, maybe a ring girl or two.
Yeah, right. That's it.
Round one. Oh,
It's
was
a
that
whole new meaning.
was that
to it.
misogynistic?
This is going to be a WWW affair.
Gives
Hey,
a whole new meaning to Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
that's right. You can have some monster trucks in there. We can make this an afternoon for the whole family.
Yes, we can. I
Wow.
think we're
Bring
on to
your
something.
own earplugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's oh, they can hand them out at the door,
We'll
included
hand
with the
out
ticket.
America's Web Radio plugs or something. We'll have to figure out a way to get
We
America's.
could plug that.
Yeah, exactly. We can plug that.
But if you guys really, if anybody's interested in doing this or sponsoring one of these, if you're anywhere near me, by all means contact me. Let me know. I will help promote you if I can, because I want to come do one of these.
Oh, without a doubt.
Wow, yeah, that'll be so much fun. But anyway, we're talking about Virginia. The assault rifle ban failed there. It's well on its way to becoming a free state again. However, now Maryland, the Democrats in Maryland have stepped up, introduced a gun ban and a registration bill. Apparently, the one in Virginia failed, so Maryland decided, well, let's just step in and fill that vacuum so we can get some news. Now, this law is crazy.
Okay, this just in. The new theme music for Moto Shoots.
Okay, there you are. America. Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
We're first again.
Again. Gold medal for you, gold medal for you. Okay.
So anyway, they're asking people to register their military-style weapons and semi-automatic weapons in Maryland.
Yeah, well, give me a national carry permit and we'll talk.
Yeah, well, you don't even want to talk about this. Any person who voluntarily registers a weapon or long gun, copycat weapon, is subject to a registration fee not to exceed $290.
Are you kidding me?
Imagine having to get a permit to exercise your free speech for $200.
So, yeah. What other amendment are we going to have to pay for?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe all the Bill of Rights will have to be bought before you're allowed to use any of them.
Unbelievable.
So imagine that, registering your gun. Now, this is if you do it before May 1st, 2021. If you do it after May 1st, 2021, and before November 1st, 2022, the registration fee will be an amount not exceeding $580 per firearm.
Now, do you go ahead and give them a key to your house at the same time, or
You just bend over and let Buttigieg come in and do what he does.
And there come the emails.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That there's anything wrong with
As long
that.
as it's between consenting adults. But I am not consenting to paying $580 per firearm.
No, and I'm not consenting to Buddha
Yes,
feel
that
the burn
either.
either.
But now wait, it gets better or worse.
Or worse.
After November 1st, 2022, and before May 1st, 2023, a registration fee will not exceed $1,000 per firearm.
Unbelievable.
So
I'd
you
like to
register
say-
early, it's only $300 around, and it can go up to $1,000 if you wait too long. And this is for a right that is guaranteed to not be infringed upon in
by
the
government.
Constitution.
Yep. Again, it's like I talked about earlier about what the Constitution is great about because it limits the government. And
Right.
Here they are.
And people, the Second Amendment is not a right given. It is a limitation on the government to be able to.
What they cannot
Infringe.
infringe.
They may
It
not infringe on this right,
specifically
and yet
says-
these states are infringing on your
Like I
rights.
said, the Constitution is very clear about what the government cannot do.
Why don't we charge a fee to vote? How would that go over?
Yeah,
I
you
think there was a
you know,
poll tax one.
Yeah.
not too long
Because the right to
ago.
vote is not guaranteed in the
It is not
Constitution.
guaranteed in the Constitution, and it was floated around at one point that if you are a net receiver of taxes By that I mean you don't work, you don't pay taxes, but you're receiving some kind of refund because you're on some type of program that you shouldn't be. If you are allowed to vote, that you get one vote, and then if you earn and you pay a certain amount of taxes, you get an extra vote and on up the ladder. And
yeah,
that
I'm
went
sure that's
over like
going to
a
go
lead
well.
balloon. Yeah.
But yeah, up to $1,000 registration fee. Now this has not passed yet, although they do have. Maryland has already passed the first assault rifle ban back in 2013 as part of the Firearms Safety Act, a gun control package. I don't know who's safer. What law-abiding citizen is safer without having their gun?
This is the thing that just ticks me off, is they come up with beautiful, pretty words. Who are they? Safer for criminals because no one's going to
Right.
shoot back.
That's right.
Safer for the government.
These guys are not going to obey the law anyway. Why not give them free access to all the guns they want? This is ridiculous. I'm sure the criminals are going to line up to pay their tax on their so-called assault weapons or their military-style guns. But this is interesting. And like I say, and they're claiming, of course, it'll make the city safer because there have been 27 homicides in Baltimore City so far in 2020, which was up from 25 last year. So you're talking 2 more homicides in the same time period, but we don't know till the end of the year. That's a very small sampling of time, like 6 weeks.
So screwing the people out of the Second Amendment isn't making cities safer, is what
No,
you're
of course not, because then nobody can defend themselves.
Well, Roger, we had a listener just send a message and said, here's a novel idea. Why don't we ban mass murders?
Right, just put some signs up. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
just put
what?
some signs up.
The Democrats are spending thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Murder zone.
No murder
That's
zone.
right, no murder zone.
There
That
you
would,
go.
That would solve everything.
That would solve everything.
We could have signs: no hurricane zone, no
hurricane
tornado
No
zone.
drug zone. Drug-free zone.
That's right. All these, if these signs
You got all
work
the
so
drugs you
well,
want for free.
There you go. I think that's how they look at it.
but oh my gosh, I mean, just having to register a firearm at all violates the Second Amendment. Now, I wonder if Maryland has enough people there to actually start putting through sanctuary cities or counties.
You're talking about.
It's essentially an
Well, if
extension
not,
of
they'll just
D.C.
Incorporate it because the incorporation in Maryland's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Just
talking about
incorporate whatever you want,
it's a
yeah.
DC subset.
Yeah, it's a suburb
They're
of the
going to vote
D.C.
for whatever
Gun control they can
latest
get.
Democrat. Although remember this, the elitists there, it will not apply to them.
Well, even if it does,
Only
they
to
can
the
afford it.
peasants.
Imagine the poor people who live in bad neighborhoods who need to defend themselves and their family,
Yeah.
protect their families.
So-
They're not going to be able to afford to keep a weapon to do it with.
Exactly. So we could do what the Democrats love to do. We can bring race in this. Who are the people that are going to be negatively affected by this Maryland law? It ain't going to be the rich, white, elitist Democrats.
Oh, no.
It's going to be the
They can
Browns
afford
and
to
the
keep their
blacks.
guns.
The Browns and the blacks are going to be without defense.
That's right. Oh, my gosh, how awful is that? That is so. This bill is racist.
I'm appalled.
That's
because
right.
That is racist.
That is so racist, having to fine people for having their gun.
Victor, just don't move there.
Exactly. Don't move there.
Yeah, well, there's that. But if you're already there, you're about to
you're there,
get
move out.
Buddha-gagged.
He'll be going in the big wagon now.
Or you'll feel the burn. Let me tell you, we have to write that check.
Are you saying you might be walking funny the next day?
Well, you might be feeling the burn after having to write that big check.
Right or ride? What did you say?
Write that big check. Yes, the big
And
check.
Let the emails flow. GM at americanswebradio.com.
But okay, so keep in mind if you vote for people
That's
who
Brett at americanswebradio.com.
Oh, he's rolling his eyes in his office now, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
But if you wait till too long, you'll pay between $300 and up to $1,000 to register your already legally purchased and owned firearm in Maryland.
A right granted to you by the Bill of Rights.
And yet there is no right to vote guaranteed in the Constitution. Although people think there is, it's not there.
And that, if you don't believe us, folks, just
So that
refer
wouldn't-
to the Supreme Court ruling of Gore versus Bush.
Or read the Constitution yourself.
Or read the Constitution.
It's not that big of a. It's not that big of a book.
This is true. This is true.
It's not that big. You know, it's what, maybe 30, 40 pages? I mean,
Yep.
It's not that big. You could read it. Now, granted, the language is a little difficult sometimes. Take your time, reread it. But there is no right to vote in there. So voting, would that mean voting is a privilege?
Absolutely, voting is a privilege.
That means they could charge you a fee to get a license
the
to
only
vote.
right you have, and this is where people get confused, You have a right to not be discriminated against. You do
When
not
voting.
have a right to vote. You have a right to not be discriminated against to vote.
Would
So,
charging somebody a fee be discriminating against them?
you know what? Leave it up to the Democrats, and like David said, there will probably be a poll tax before we know it.
Well, if
who
they
would
can
that
charge
hurt?
a tax to exercise your Second Amendment right,
I'll
why
tell
not
you.
one to exercise your voting rights?
I will tell you, the moment that a poll tax will come into fruition is when the Democrats, if they ever figure out, or if ever it comes that illegals start voting Republican, and poor people and unions start voting Republican, then you're going to see the Democrats
poll tax.
jump into action.
Yep. Wouldn't that be? It just, this just irks me. The fact that they can try and charge money to keep a right that you've been granted that the government is not to infringe on.
Not to infringe on.
Specifically spelled out in black and white, in parchment and feathered ink.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Well, if you live in Maryland, I wish you the best of luck because this
Yeah.
is going to get nasty.
Well,
All right.
we're going to take a break and see where all of this goes after the break. You're listening to America's Web Radio, and we'll be back right after this.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back. I'm Roger B. This is Locked and Loaded, and you're listening to America's Web Radio. Yes, we're talking about guns, we're talking about weapons, we're talking about politics. It's all just flowing today. The voice you heard earlier was on point with Victor. That was Victor Armendariz himself joining us. He has now left the studio because he is going to go register some weapons and pay some fees. Not really. In most states, they have no fees to register weapons, although in some they do. I know in New York, you have to pay a $300 fee just to fill out the application to be able to purchase a handgun. And that's before you even get the gun. You have to fill out the application, which is about 60 pages. Fill that out, send it in with a $300 check, and then wait anywhere from 6 months to a year or more for them to approve your permit to buy a weapon. Now, how on earth can people do that when the Constitution clearly states the government shall make no law to infringe upon the people's right to keep and bear arms? I don't understand this. And yet this has become commonplace. So, I don't know. This is just...
You can get an argument out of most people. Oh, I know it's in the Constitution because I've heard it all my life. Separation of church and state.
Actually, I believe it says you can have no state-sponsored religion. Does it not?
But that's not separation. That's not what they're talking about. It's separation of church and state, and there's no place in it. What they get mixed up is that a lady, when Jefferson was president, there was a conflict in her church. It seemingly couldn't be settled. So she wrote Jefferson a letter. You're the president. You decide what we should do. And he said, no, there is no... That's where the separation of church and state came from. It is not in the Constitution at all.
The government cannot back any particular religion.
Yeah.
But yet, we have Christmas as a national holiday. We have, things like that. But you know what? That's fine. But then when we start getting everybody's religion into national holidays, that would get a little more tricky.
Which we have to a degree.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. But right now...
or whatever it is.
Right.
Kaboomerang.
But there's not supposed to be any state approval or disapproval of anybody's religion or special treatment for anybody's religion through the state or the government. So I understand that.
Anyway, back to guns.
That's right. Okay, Indiana Senate passes a teacher gun training program.
Yay.
Because they realize the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy or girl with a gun. Yeah, we're going to, when I say you guys, I'm talking about men and women. So you guys relax. I'm not being misogynistic. I'm not saying just men can have guns. But think about it. What do we protect with guns? We protect our banks. We protect our military bases. Even Congress and the Senate have armed protection. So you mean to tell me that Congress and the Senate are more valuable than your kids in school? Of course not. They put a sign up to guard your kids in school. This is a gun-free zone. Yeah, well, that doesn't do any good, as we can see. Guns will come into schools. Children deserve at least as much protection as banks do. You want to put a value on a kid's life and just say, well, they're only worth like, $18, so we're not going to defend them with money. But if you have $1,000 in the bank, we're going to have an armed guard at the bank. Well, Indiana has stepped up, and they're getting their teachers qualified to handle a weapon and be able to carry into school and be called upon just in case something were to happen to threaten the students. So these people in Indiana, these teachers, are going to be able to be their own first responders, which I emphasize all the time. If you have the possibility, if you have the means, if you have the skill and the mindset, by all means, work toward getting to that point to be your own first responder. Don't have to wait for the cops to come, because we all know when seconds count, cops are minutes away, maybe hours away, depending on where you live. But let's hope no more than minutes. But you know what? An average gunfight lasts like 4 seconds, and I know a cop is not going to be there in 4 seconds. It takes you longer than that to make the phone call. But
well, it's like this is the good part of what Indiana is doing, in my opinion, is that it takes training, and it's not just the accuracy of firing your weapon.
You can't just buy a gun and be protected. No. It's like buying a treadmill. It doesn't do anything just buying it.
No, and it's one of those things too that training, like we've talked many times, training is not just the accuracy of the pattern that you shoot. It's also the mindset that you know what you're doing. You're ready to take somebody on with a weapon. You're ready to kill somebody if necessary.
That's right.
That's you think about it. Oh well, if somebody, I'm going to do that. No, you gotta. As I mentioned one time, I go to a situation that I look around, I find out what's around me, and I make a plan.
Situational awareness, yes.
Yeah, and it's like I told you once before, it's like playing baseball. I taught my kids that no matter who's up to bat, that ball's coming to you.
Right, and you have to decide what you're going to do when it does come to you. Whether you catch it in the air, whether it comes to you on the ground, you have to decide what you're going to do in each situation and be prepared every time that ball is pitched.
That's it.
Same thing here. Prepare for every situation.
And, know your surroundings and know that, just know what you're going to do. And
right.
That takes training, but it also takes consciousness of your surrounding. I don't think I'd rely on Biden.
He just wants to hold the shotgun over the rail of the back porch and fire off both barrels. That's his idea of self-defense.
But he doesn't know where he is. It might be somebody else's deck.
That's maybe, yeah, we don't know. Like say, 12-year-old scotch.
Yeah.
Anyway. But they did vote. Okay, the state Senate voted for a bill that specifies a 40-hour training program for teachers who volunteer to be armed, followed by 16 hours of additional training each year. So they're not going to let them just get the permit and rest on their laurels. They're going to have to prove themselves every year and go through an additional 16 hours of training every year to be one of the teachers in Indiana who can have a gun in a school. So they're going about it the right way.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I applaud Indiana for doing it, and I hope some other states are listening.
Well, if they value your life or your kids, they should. I mean, I guarantee you every federal senator and congressman who has kids in school, their kids are protected by guns. I'd be willing to put myself out on a limb and guarantee every one of those kids is going to a school that is protected by guns. But yet they don't believe you should have the right to do that for yourself, for your family. It's like Bloomberg. He has armed guards around him, his house, 24/7, but he wants to take all your guns away. What kind of elitist bull squeeze is that? That is absolutely ridiculous that he would be allowed to stand up and say stuff like that. That you're not good enough to defend your family, but I can have armed guards because I can afford them. And if you can't afford them, then you don't deserve to be able to defend yourself. Yeah, well, Bloomberg can, well, we're not going to talk about what he can do. Maybe Hillary will get the best of him. Who knows? We'll see. But Indiana, go in the right direction, Indiana. I applaud you for that. And the fact that you have training involved in the bill is excellent. That's what we need to see more of, because that's the way you're going to stop school shootings, is by having people, good guys with guns, as close and as able to respond quickly as possible, not having to wait for somebody to come in and try and assess the situation.
You know, it's like a cop told me when my alarm went off at my home. He said, you know, he knew that it was probably a false alarm or whatever. It was and it wasn't. There was a... Anyway,
Something
long
was
story
going on?
short, a guy's not going to break in your house if you have a sign in your yard, I have an alarm system. Or like the old saying, protected by S&W or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same token, if you have they're not going to break in if you have an alarm system. Why? And the next door neighbor doesn't have a sign in the yard. If they're going to break in someplace, they're going to go for the easy target.
Criminals are lazy. They don't want to have to
Yeah.
work any harder than they have to get stuff, you know, to steal stuff. They're not going to put forth any extra effort. And if they know somebody has guns there, they're not as likely to break in while somebody's there, for sure.
Exactly.
And if you don't believe in guns, by all means, put a sign in your yard that says, we don't believe in guns.
Yeah.
By all means, do that. And if you don't do it, then you're a hypocrite because you're counting on them possibly thinking you have one.
And light that sign, too.
That's right.
And really get the neighbors upset with you.
Make sure you can see it from a distance.
Yeah.
Make sure the criminals have a lighted path to your house. Because I say, when I lock my door at night, it's not to protect me from people coming in from outside. It's to protect the people outside from coming in.
Well, but now you know how we feel and the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is, we're going to have to put the plug in the jug.
We're there. We're done.
We got detailing addiction coming in, and so Roger B., thank you, sir, as always.
Well, it was great being here. I hope everybody learned something. And if anybody is going to do a Moto Shoots event, I want an invitation.
Remember that, folks. So we will be back after a couple of words. Stay tuned.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the